Okay, so far we have this. We can play the game, and if we die, nothing, I mean, everything stops, but if we click, the bear doesn't move, doesn't do anything weird. Okay, but now what we want to have is we want to have a panel over here that says game over, and that shows the score and the high score that we got. Okay, so to do that, let's go to our canvas and let's right click and let's select create empty. So we create an empty object. This object is gonna be the container of our game over panel. So game over, we can call it just game over like this. We're gonna right click in game over and we're gonna create an UI element. So it's gonna be a UI image, and we're gonna call this image title. We can title like this, and here this image, you can see that it has an image component and it has a source image. So we're gonna click in this circle, and here we can look for the source image that we want. So in our case, we're gonna look for the game over image. So select it, close this window, and then hit set native size. Okay, so now if we zoom in and we move our title up a bit, we can see that this is the title, but we want to make it larger. So we press T and we hold shift and we scale it like this. So we can make it larger like this. I think it's okay. So let's place it at the position 0, 0. So come here to this rect transform and set the position to 0. And now you can set it over here like this. All right, so we have the title. Now we need to create the panel. So come over here to the hierarchy, and when it says game, select game over, right click, select UI image, and we'll call this panel. And now we can select the source image for this image. So let's select this panel over here. This, you can see the preview of the image that I selected here on the right. Close, set native size. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna rescale it a little bit by dragging and by holding shift, and just put this at position 0 on the x-axis. All right, so we have our panel. We can put it a little bit closer to the title. Okay, so now what we need is that we need two texts. We need one text for the score and one text for the best score, or for our high score. So inside the panel, so what I mean by inside the panel, I mean that you select the panel and you right click on the panel, and now we're going to create a UI text, and we're going to change the name of this text to panel score, and we're going to change the text of the score to 0. We're going to change the font size. We are also going to align the text. We're going to set the horizontal overflow and the vertical overflow to overflow like this. And then we're going to just increase the size a little bit more, move the score right below the score, this score title, and what we have here is the score. And now we hit Ctrl D, we can duplicate the text, and we can call this, instead of calling it panel score, we can call it panel high score. So here we have another UI text. Okay, so we have these two things. Now we need to add in a medal to our panel. This medal will represent how good we did with our score. So right click on the panel in the hierarchy, select UI image, and we're gonna call this image medal. And we're going to select the source image. So select source image, and we're gonna select this light medal over here that looks like white. We're gonna select that, and we're gonna move it, and then we're gonna hit T and resize it with holding shift, and you can place it right here. Okay, so we got our medal, and now what we have left to do is to add two buttons. We're gonna add the OK button to restart the game, and the menu button to go to the menu. All right, so to do that, just select our panel and then select UI, right click, select UI, and now we're gonna select the button. Okay, so now let's move this button right here. The button comes with a text by default, so we're gonna just select the text and delete it because we don't need it. Select the button. We're gonna rename the button to OKBTN. That's a shortcut for button. That's the short way of writing button. And so rename the button to OK button. Now we're gonna select the sprite or the source image for this button. And it's gonna be the OK. we're gonna set it native size, so set native size, then hit T, and we're going to rescale this button like this, so it looks nice and big. All right, so we have the OK button in here. Make sure that the position, so we can put it at position -170. Then we can hit Ctrl D, so we duplicate it. Let's see, select the OK button and hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, and now drag it to the right. And if the button on the left is at position -117, -170, then the button on the right should be at position 170, like this. And we're gonna change the source image of this sprite to menu. All right, so we have our OK button, our menu button, we have our panel ready to go. Just don't forget to rename this to menu btn, menu button. All right, so now if we collapse the panel and collapse the game over, we can see here that in the canvas, in the hierarchy, we have a game over object, and if we select the game over object, we can see that it has a checkbox in here, and if we uncheck this box, we hide the object because we have deactivated the object. This is a very common thing to do in Unity, is to deactivate objects and activate objects. If I check it on again, the whole panel appears. Okay, so what we're going to do is that initially this game over object is gonna be set to inactive, and when we die, we're gonna make it appear on the screen. Okay, so to do this, we need a reference to this object from the game manager. So let's go to our project and to our scripts, and let's select our game manager. And when the game is over, we want to actually make our panel appear on the screen. So we need a reference. So here, let's at the top, let's specify our references here. So references, and we're going to say public game object, and here we're going to specify game over. So game over canvas. So here we have the reference to our game over canvas, and when the game is over, we're going to say game over canvas dot set active. This is how we activate the object from the code. We say the object dot set active, and in parentheses we specify true or false. So game over canvas dot set active equals to true. Now if we go to the Unity editor, we can go to the game manager, and we can see that is waiting for the reference of the game over canvas. So just click and hold on the game over canvas, drag it, or the game over object, drag it over here, and now we hit play. You can see that the game over canvas is hidden, but if we die, we should see this game over. Okay, and if we press OK, you can see that nothing happens, and the menu the same thing. Okay, so one thing that we see also is that the score is here, and we don't want to see this score in here. So how can we get rid of this number? Well, we can also make a reference of the game score to the game manager script. So to do this, let's create a reference. So let's create a reference in here saying public game object score, and when we die, we want to say score dot set active equals to false. We're gonna go to the Unity editor, and in the game manager script, we're gonna pass in the score reference. So drag the score to the score. So now if we play the game and we die, you can see that the score disappears. Okay, so how do we, now we want to reload the scene when we hit OK. So how do we do this? Okay, so first of all, we need to define the behavior for the OK button, okay? So we're gonna do that in the game manager script. So we can do this after the game over method. For example, we can say public void on OK btn, so btn pressed. This means that when the OK button is pressed, what should we do here? Okay, so to reload the scene, we need to first of all import a Unity library or namespace called Unity Engine.Scene Management. So let's import this library. So Unity Engine.Scene Management, like this. Okay, now that we have imported this namespace or library, we can use additional code. So here in the on OK button press, we're going to say scene manager dot load scene, and then we're going to say scene manager dot get active scene. So this is going to load the scene, and inside here we have to put an index, but we want to get the index of the current scene that we are actually running. So scene manager dot get active scene dot build index. So this line of code returns the index of the active scene, and this line of code loads the scene at a specific index. So now that we have this, we can go back to the Unity editor, and we can expand our game over object and our panel, and here we have our OK button. So with our OK button, we're gonna click here when it says on click. We're gonna go to inspector, and here where we have our button component, there's an on click field. So we're gonna hit this plus icon, and here it says non-object. So we're gonna pass in our game manager object. So drag our game manager object over here. And now that we have our game manager object, we can actually click this field over here, select game manager script, and once we select the game manager script, we can select any public method that we declared in the game manager script. In this case, we declared a public method called on OK button pressed. So select that method on OK button pressed, and now we save the game and we run the game. You can see that if we die and we click the OK button, we restart the game. Perfect. So that's gonna be it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.